Okay, I just remembered what I was going to comment on in my earlier video, so I'm going to make this video. Now, first I'm going to touch on, my father's 25 hertz experience. He said my father was born in 1920, so this would have been in the 1930s somewhere. He said the bulbs you could actually see them pulse. The frequency was so low. My father, I think most of the country was 60 hertz at that time, and one little they lived in a pretty rural area at that time, and I think there was a line that they deliberately had 25 hertz on, because there was a lot of irrigation pumps and stuff on that line. So they just had, the transformers were wound for 25 hertz. I remember there's a shop in Phoenix that I haven't been in this place for years and years. I used to go in and get rewound motors because they were a little bit cheaper. But anyway, there was this big old motor sitting just outside the shop. Big heavy cast iron motor. Electric motor. I looked at it. I said that. 25 hertz motors have much more steel in them. Just so they're resonant for that frequency. I'm going to get to 400 hertz stuff some other time. 400 hertz stuff is used in aircraft. There's a reason they use a higher frequency in aircraft, but I'll get to that some other time. But anyway, I just looked at the nameplate on this motor, and it said 20, like 220 volts, 3-phase, 25 cycle. You're not going to be able to use that motor. That motor's a big old boat anchor. It's kind of cool looking though. I'm sure it's either in a museum somewhere or it got scrapped, one or the other. Next thing I'm going to briefly touch on the Nikola Tesla. He was born in the 1800s somewhere and died about 1943 in New York City. Now, when he died, the FBI went in, and seized all his research. Now, Tesla was working on some type of a death ray. I think that's what the FBI was after. And some of Tesla's stuff, the guy was a genius, but not everything. He drew out the plans for for a lot of stuff that just would not work, like Wardenclyffe. Now, Wardenclyffe, that's Wardenclyffe, New York. That got torn down many years ago, probably before I was even born. Was supposed to be a way for transmitting power, wirelessly, around the world. Now that may not be exactly what he's working on, but as the story goes, Rockefeller, he was one of the investors. He said, I see no way of, putting a meter on this thing, no way of telling, how much power each user is getting. So Rockefeller pulled out his funding, and it stopped. I guess it was there for a while. But a lot of Tesla's research is lost to this day. They have no idea what happened to it. Oh well, you can hear conspiracy theories that he was working on UFOs and stuff like that, which is interesting. The last thing I'm gonna cover on this is what I forgot to mention earlier. But instead of a tuna fish sandwich, some guys will say, "Oh, I got a box lunch at the Y." Now that's a much more commonly used phrase. Getting a box lunch at the Y. I think you can figure it out. Okay, love y'all. Let's make this crazy world interesting and exciting. Bye bye.